Newcastle with a measured shot from just inside the box, giving Arsenal a 2-goal advantage within the hour after a fairly turgid first 45 minutes. The second half started brilliantly, finished with just minor panic after Kieran Clark's goal, but Arsenal, for me, have deserved this one, Chris.
Yeah, I think we handled the stoppage time pretty well, actually, after that goal. The palpitations weren't too bad. I think we deserved it. We went up again in the second half. Whatever Unai said at half-time did the trick. Torreira made a difference. Ozil did well on his 200th appearance for the club. And, of course, Granit Xhaka gets the headlines. What a free kick that was.
So, Arsenal have managed to beat Newcastle by 2-1 here. Much to discuss back at base. For tweets, analysis and more chat, I hand you back to Kenzie.
Well, we'll have to wait for our first clean sheet of the season, but still 3 wins from 3. I'm still joined by Adrian Clark and Chris Wheatley. Guys, let's come to you for initial reaction on today's game. Adrian, we'll start with you.
Terrific second half performance. We said at half-time, didn't we, that the team had underperformed in the first period, and it was just very flat. No real drive, no real energy in that first half. Everything changed, and we talked, didn't we, at the interval about bringing on Lucas Torreira. We also said that Unai Emery is very decisive with his substitutions, and he was. You know, the half-time change changed the game. It's as simple as that, and it released Xhaka further forward, and it seemed to just open up so much more space for everybody else to thrive. It was so much better. It was chalk and cheese, and by the end, I think 2-1 actually flatters Newcastle.
Yeah, Chris, they sort of hit the ground running, didn't they? Xhaka scoring inside the first 4 minutes. They looked like a completely different side. Do you think it was the change for Guendouzi off and Torreira on that made all the difference?
Yeah, I think it made a big difference. Obviously, Mesut Ozil as well on his 200th appearance was fantastic, scored a really good goal. But yeah, no, it was Torreira who came on. It made an immediate impact and looks like the kind of player who's going to really impress at Arsenal. And for me, Torreira, when he plays, everyone else around him knows their role. And I think you can see Granit Xhaka had a lot more freedom in the final third. And he just looked more confident, especially after the goal as well.
Well, it's no coincidence that for the goal, one of the first contributions that Torreira made was to flick the ball around the corner into the front man, Aubameyang, draws the foul, boom. Granit Xhaka, I mean, what a hit from Granit Xhaka. I know that he's not the favourite player of a lot of supporters here at Arsenal, but I think we saw with that strike what ability he has. And that was an outstanding free kick, one of the best free kicks you'll see all season. No chance for the goalkeeper, and it just set the wheels in motion for a high-class second-half display.
Absolutely, Xhaka certainly performed well in the game today, but also an impressive performance from Sokratis. We touched on him at half-time. A really impressive defensive performance from him. Nice to see a solid centre-back. We faced 9 corners and actually, 10 in the end, and actually we dealt with those quite well. Sometimes we can be susceptible to set pieces, but I think today we looked quite solid.
Yeah, I think Arsenal in recent games we've shown at set pieces, they can be weak at times, but today there was none of that. Obviously, Clark's late goal showed that there's still that they're still susceptible to those kind of defensive mistakes. But at the same time, I think Sokratis and even Mustafi in the second half looked a lot better. And Sokratis, yeah, we said that he's the kind of defender Arsenal needed for a long time. Solid, reads the game well. And he's good one-on-one, and that's exactly what Arsenal need. They've got him now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Sokratis was excellent in the first half. Wasn't really called upon in the second period. I mean, Newcastle had 1 shot on target, and that was the goal. So that tells you how well Arsenal played in a defensive capacity, I guess. I think from the goal itself, Mustafi was slightly culpable in terms of leaving too much space for Kieran Clark, and also no Hector Bellerin on the cover. You need your right back to be there inside, right alongside his centre half, and he wasn't, unfortunately, Hector Bellerin. But look, failure to get a clean sheet is a minor disappointment, Kenzie, but overall I think Emery will be thrilled with the reaction of the players in the second half.
OK, well, Adrian, we're going to come to you for the Opta talking points of the first and second half. We're going to compare these two. We're going to try and see these in the studio as well as what you're seeing at home.
Yeah, we can't actually see the map at the moment. But I do know what's on it. Basically, at half-time, we talked about the action areas. We talked about here we go. This was the first half. This was Newcastle. 31% of the game was in Arsenal's defensive third, which was just it's very, very unusual. Arsenal failed to penetrate through the lines and didn't really spend any lengthy periods in and around the opposition danger zone. That was a big, big disappointment in the first half. Flip it around, the introduction of Torreira and generally upping the ante and the pace of the game. There was just more zip about the side in the second half. You see, we turned it around. It was only actually, if you'd looked at this map 10 minutes before the end, before Newcastle United came back at us, the difference was far clearer. Arsenal were into the 30%. So just towards the end, Newcastle pulled it back. But Arsenal flipped it around, dominated possession. It was well, two very, very different halves, Chris.
I think one thing you noticed there from the stats as well, it was quite a one-sided game when you think about it. I think Arsenal did dominate, especially in that second half. Like you said, the introduction of Torreira, but also Mkhitaryan later on kind of helped up the tempo a little bit. And I think that's exactly what Emery wanted. Probably had a good team talk as well in the dressing room at half-time. But yeah, like we said, Torreira came on. It did seem to change the game. But Arsenal
He's got
the
to
tempo.
play, hasn't he, now? I mean,
yeah.
Lucas Torreira has more than done enough, I think, to justify a starting berth next time out. So I don't think we'll be having this argument again. I'll be absolutely gobsmacked, actually, if Lucas Torreira doesn't start the next Premier League game, because he's made a difference, a positive contribution in every appearance so far.
Well, sorry to jump in. That was going to be my
for Alex Lacazette, who had a really good game, and I thought he was really hard working in the final third. Ball for Welbeck at the end as well, and you know, he's really impressed. Great form in recent weeks. Cardiff, he was probably man of the match, and today I'd probably give him man of the match. It's a really, really good performance from him. Sorry, Kenzie.
No, absolutely. Jump in. It's good to see passion from our guest in the studio. And as you say, it'll be interesting to see how Emery will line up his side when Arsenal are next in action. Of course, we're in action again in the Europa League. We've got a tweet here saying Xhaka Torreira is the way to go. Xhaka allowed to roam forward and be more involved in advanced play. Next to Guendouzi, he's pushed back more into a deep midfield position with Guendouzi moving forward, which hasn't proved successful. So essentially echoing what we've been saying in the studio today. Do you think that we've, you can see another tweet here as well on the same matter. Do you think we've solved that midfield partnership now, gents?
I don't think it's solved. I think Unai Emery is still pondering his best I don't know what the word is, but best composition of the central midfield, because he's got some great options. The interesting thing about that tweet there is that it doesn't include Aaron Ramsey, who is arguably our best box-to-box central midfielder. Where does he fit in? Because Mesut, I think we all agree, is better central, where he has that free role. Do we then shunt Aaron Ramsey towards the right, like he did at one point of his Arsenal career? Or does he struggle to get into the side? I think that's a real issue for Arsenal moving forward. Personally, I still would like to see, particularly in the tough away games, a three-man midfield with Xhaka and Ramsey either side of Torreira, but we'll have to see if that happens.
I think Unai Emery's sport for options in midfield, and we were saying earlier, is he going to play his strongest team in the Europa League? Well, you know, judging on today's performance, Torreira might be given a shot, but then you've got other players as well who can come in, like Matteo Guendouzi, who started the first 4 or 5 games, and now maybe he'll go back to the bench. You know, obviously a young player, and maybe be bedded in the Europa League and the League Cup, those kind of games. But we'll have to wait and see, I guess, on that one.
Well, goals today from Xhaka and Ozil scoring on his 200th appearance for us today. We've got a stat here, 10 goal scorers and from 10 different players so far this season. We like to share things here at Arsenal.
I like that,
That's pretty impressive. I like that.
It's a decent stat, that is for sure. I think that if you're to challenge for the title, you need a striker or 2 strikers to be getting towards 20. You want at least one, if not 2. We've got 2 20-goal-a-season strikers here in Lacazette and Aubameyang. So you want a few more from those 2 guys, but it certainly does no harm to spread it around, and it does ease the pressure on the 2 main frontline strikers. So look, Unai Emery, I think, will be thrilled with that particular stat.
Definitely, with 5 games in as well. So you've got to say it's good that they can share the burden. You know, Arsenal have got a plethora of players who can obviously score goals, and not just midfielders, not just attackers, but defenders as well.
Scoring goals is not an issue. It never has been for Arsenal, Kenzie. It's keeping the clean sheets, and I think we blotted our copybook a little bit towards the end there with that goal against, but we shouldn't get too hung up on it. It was still a positive second half performance. But if we can start to keep clean sheets, it means that just 1 goal per game will be enough to get us the 3 points. At the moment, we need at least 2. unfortunately, that's not really sustainable over the course of a season. So we know what the area to work on is.
Well, actually, speaking of clean sheets, let's touch on Cech then. A relatively solid performance today. OK, he maybe didn't have too much to do, but, you know, I think moving forward, it's looking promising. We'll get that clean sheet soon.
Yeah, when called up on, Cech had a good match, I think. You've got to say he's been criticised a lot in recent games. I think he did an interview a couple of days ago where he said he's made 166 passes and only 2 have really been picked on. I think it's probably more mistakes he's made, but at the same time, Cech is learning. He's adapting to Unai Emery's new style, and it's really important for him to adapt. And I think, you know, Leno is going to be chasing him for that #1 spot, and maybe eventually he will get it. But at the same time, Cech is doing well enough at the moment.
The criticism of Petr Cech so far this season has been grossly unfair, in my opinion. He has looked uncomfortable in a couple of instances with the ball at his feet, but in general, his goalkeeping, his handling, his positioning have been terrific. And I see absolutely no reason why he would relinquish his #1 status. So for me, Cech is safe. No doubt about that, but it will be interesting to see the difference with Leno, potentially in the Carabao Cup, maybe in the Europa League. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, it was a good day at the office for Cech. Let's be honest, it was pretty easy. St James's Park, difficult away game traditionally. He had 2 saves in the entire game and both were crosses. He was well protected today.
Well, lots of you getting in touch as normal on our social channels. Let's hear from some of you now then. We've got a tweet here from Paul Wadey. He says, poor first half, second half much better with the introduction of Torreira. He needs to start more to partner Xhaka, but we need to cut out all the defensive mistakes we make. And we've got another tweet here. Monreal holds down the back and provides confidence to the back line. He's imperative in supporting the midfield this game, and Ramsey's effectiveness is undermined. Nice to see Ozil and Xhaka back on the score sheet. So echoing what we've just said there, 10 different players scoring 10 goals.
Isn't it funny? Because before the start of today, a lot of people were dropping Granit Xhaka. They were saying, well, yeah, we want to see Guendouzi and Torreira. We want to see those guys, or Torreira and Ramsey. Now when fans and pundits alike are picking their best Arsenal team, Xhaka's in it all of a sudden and on the back of a wonderful free kick. But it isn't just about the free kicks with Xhaka or the passing. Yes, he has made mistakes individually. He's been culpable for a number of goals the last few seasons, but he contributes a lot to Granit Xhaka. He moves the ball forward really, really efficiently. He dominates the game. He had far more touches, far more passes than anybody at St James's Park today. I think if you take him out, you'd really feel his absence.
I feel that's the case with a lot of Arsenal players. I think their performances go under the radar sometimes. And the comment there said Nacho Monreal. He's another player, pops up with a goal every now and then, and he also does a solid job at left back. And today I think he did do a good job. He was impressive. And you know, the players who go about their jobs quietly are often the ones you don't really hear about. Xhaka again today, he did impress, and I think it will be a big confidence boost for him to get that goal as well.
Kenty, he won't get the assist, Granit Xhaka, but ultimately he provided the assist for Mesut Ozil's goal, which turned out to be the winner. He made a lovely little run into the left-hand channel to get the pass from Nacho Monreal. Great cut back for Lacazette. His shot's blocked and Ozil just tucks it away. So Granit Xhaka today, a fabulous second-half performance, scores a worldie and then plays a big part in the other goal. So he can go home today feeling pretty happy with himself.
Well, it's been a good day all round, and Reiss Nelson is also having a rather good start to his day. As you can see, he scored on his debut. Yes, Reiss, good work from him. No surprise there, promising young player indeed.
Well, it's a slight surprise because he hasn't scored on first-team duty for Arsenal yet, so it will do his confidence the power of good. Because until you've scored at first-team level, you don't really feel like you've arrived. And I think that will boost him. Apparently he scored just 15 minutes into his debut for Hoffenheim. I think it's a brilliant move. It's far better that he spends the season in Germany getting regular football, a very good standard of football as well, than sitting on the bench here. So great news all round.
It's really impressive that he started so well, so early into his career in the Bundesliga. And obviously, Arsenal have done a great job to keep hold of him. He's a player who's obviously been linked with a lot of clubs, and they've managed to keep hold of him. And I think hopefully...
Why would you want to leave, Chris? Eh?
Well, I mean, hopefully following the footsteps of his good friend Jadon Sancho as well, who's doing so well at Borussia Dortmund. And yeah, I think these young English players who are braving it, you could say, to go to the Bundesliga and play. Nelson's an example of that. Hopefully he can have a really solid season, and he's starting well with a goal, obviously.
Well, bringing it back to our performance today then, Adrian, Chris, I'm going to come to you both for just one word to sum up today's game against the Magpies. Adrian, thinking hard.
Oh, goodness
Let's hear it.
Goodness me. You put me on the spot there, in this second half. In terms of the second half, my one word would be professional.
And I think my word would probably be comprehensive.
Yeah.
Job done.
Very much so.
I like that. I think that's a good analysis from our two studio guests. Thank you both so much for joining us on Arsenal Nation Live. We hope you've enjoyed the show at home. Thank you to all of those who have sent their comments in today. We absolutely love hearing from our fans. And don't forget, we'll be back next week when Arsenal will be in Europa League action. Don't miss it. See you soon, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.